Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone you loved suddenly disappeared without a trace? Emily Carter, excellent student, model volunteer, did not return from class. No one had seen her for the last time. No clues, no clear reason. Just a void, growing larger with each passing day. Emily Carter sat at her desk, surrounded by a fortress of textbooks and notes, the soft glow of her desk lamp illuminating her determined face. The clock ticked loudly in the background, a constant reminder that time was slipping away as the date of her important exam drew nearer. The walls of her room were plastered with motivational quotes and success stories, a visual representation of her high aspirations. Yet, beneath the surface, an undercurrent of anxiety coursed through her veins. "Em, you've been at this for hours," her younger brother, Jake, said, peeking through the door. "Why don't you take a break?" "I can't, Jake. I have to do well. Mom and Dad are counting on me," Emily replied, her voice tinged with stress. Jake frowned, sensing the weight of expectations that his sister carried. "But you're already the smartest person I know. You'll be fine." A small smile flickered on Emily's lips, but it quickly faded. "It's not just about being smart, Jake. It's about proving that I'm worth all their sacrifices." The words hung in the air, heavy with the unspoken tension that had built up over years. That evening, the Carter family gathered for dinner, the atmosphere thick with unarticulated pressure. Emily's parents exchanged glances, their conversation revolving around the future, Emily's future, while she pushed her food around her plate, the tension stifling. "Emily, you know we believe in you, right?" her mother said, her voice laced with hope and expectation. "Just remember to breathe. You've always excelled." "Yem," her father added, "you have what it takes. Just focus." "It's not that simple," Emily replied, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "It feels like nothing I do is ever enough." She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor, before she stormed out of the room. Outside, the world continued to spin, but for Emily, everything felt like a blur. Her friends, once a vibrant support system, were also feeling the pressure. Text messages bounced around their group chat, filled with frantic questions about study schedules and exam strategies. "Did you guys see the math practice test?" asked Mia, one of Emily's closest friends. "I'm freaking out. I'm not going to make it." "Same here," replied Liam. "I can't even sleep anymore. All I think about is failing." Emily read the messages, her heart aching for her friends. She felt the familiar pang of isolation despite being surrounded by her peers. "We need to talk," she typed back, her thumbs hesitating over the screen. "Let's meet up this weekend." As the days passed and the exam loomed closer, Emily grappled with the increasing pressure. She felt the weight of her family's expectations pressing down on her, compounded by her own insecurities. The conversations at school became more strained, filled with discussions about grades and futures, rather than laughter and camaraderie. One evening, while flipping through her notes, Emily stumbled upon a blank page in her notebook. She picked up her pen and began to write, pouring her heart onto the paper. "I feel like I'm drowning," she scribbled. "What if I fail? What if I let everyone down?" She paused, her emotions swirling, and closed the notebook. She needed to find a way to cope, to breathe, and to reclaim her sense of self amidst the chaos. But the pressure continued to build, a silent storm brewing inside her, pushing her further into isolation. As she prepared for the exam, the fear of disappointing her family loomed larger than any academic challenge. Little did she know, this mounting pressure would soon lead her down a path she never anticipated. Detective Sarah Mills stood outside the Carter family home, the air thick with a sense of urgency and sorrow. She adjusted her notebook, ready to uncover the layers of Emily's life, each detail a potential clue to her disappearance. As she knocked on the door, she could feel the weight of the family's anxiety pressing against her. Detective Mills, she introduced herself, offering a firm handshake to Emily's father, who opened the door. His eyes were red-rimmed, betraying the sleepless nights spent worrying about his daughter. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We just want to find her." As she stepped inside, Sarah noted the clutter of textbooks and study materials scattered throughout the living room, a testament to the pressure Emily had faced. "I'd like to start by asking some questions about Emily. Can you tell me about her? What was she like?" Emily's mother interjected, her voice trembling. She was brilliant, always striving for perfection. But lately, it felt like she was struggling under the weight of expectations. "Did she ever talk about feeling overwhelmed?" Sarah asked, pen poised to capture every detail. "She was always so private," her mother confessed, tears glistening in her eyes. "We thought she was just focused on her studies." As Sarah continued her interviews with Emily's friends, a familiar pattern emerged. Each one echoed the same fears and pressures. When she met with Mia, Emily's closest friend, Sarah could see the turmoil etched on her face. "I just wish I had known how much she was hurting," Mia said, her voice cracking. "We were all so caught up in our own worries." "What do you mean?" Sarah pressed gently. "We all felt it. This insane pressure to succeed. I often wondered if she thought she was alone in it," Mia admitted, her hands fidgeting nervously. "But we were all drowning in the same sea." The parallel struck a chord within Sarah, reminding her of her own youth. She had once felt the suffocating expectations of society, the relentless pursuit of success that overshadowed her happiness. As she listened to Mia, Sarah realized that Emily's story was a reflection of a larger issue, a cultural obsession with achievement that often crushed the very individuals it sought to uplift. As the investigation progressed, Sarah met with a former classmate of Emily's, a boy named Adam, who had once shared a similar academic path. The moment he stepped in her office, she could see the remnants of pressure etched on his face. "I nearly broke under the stress of it all," Adam started, his voice barely audible. "I took a step back from school because I just couldn't handle it anymore. I thought Emily was strong enough to keep going." "Did you ever talk to her about this?" Sarah asked, intrigued. "No, I thought she had it all together. I didn't want to burden her with my problems," he confessed, the realization dawning on him. "But maybe if I had, things could have been different." As Sarah wrapped up her interviews, the pieces of Emily's life painted a troubling picture. She felt the coolness of the notebook in her hand, a stark reminder of the emotional toll this case was taking on her. Each story she heard was a thread woven into a larger tapestry, revealing the deep-seated issues surrounding mental health among youth. Driving home that night, Sarah's mind wandered to her own past, the pressure she had faced, and the importance of open conversations. She knew that Emily's story was not just about one girl. It was a call to society to acknowledge and address these struggles. As she parked her car, Sarah made a silent vow. She would not only find Emily, but also bring to light the silent battles young people fight every day. The investigation was far from over, but the urgency to advocate for change had already begun to take root within her. As the days turned into weeks, the search for Emily Carter transformed from a solitary quest to a united community effort. Flyers with her picture plastered on telephone poles and community boards bore witness to the collective anxiety that had gripped the town. Friends and neighbors gathered in the park, a makeshift hub for prayer vigils and awareness campaigns, where the air was filled with a mix of hope and despair. Mia stood at the forefront of the gathering, her voice trembling as she addressed those who had come to support. Emily was more than just a brilliant student. She was our friend, our sister, our dreamer, she said, her eyes scanning the crowd. We need to talk about the pressures that we face every day, the expectations that sometimes feel unbearable. The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Sarah Mills observed from a distance, feeling the swell of emotions around her. She had witnessed firsthand the struggle of young people buried under societal demands, and this moment was a powerful testament to their shared experiences. After Mia spoke, a local mental health advocate named Tom stepped forward. "We need to create a safe space for conversation," he urged. "Let's turn our grief into action. Let's make sure that no one feels alone in their struggles." "What can we do?" a voice called out from the crowd. "We can start by sharing our stories," Tom replied. "When we talk about our pressures, we break the silence that often isolates us. It's time for all of us to be heard." Encouraged by Tom's words, a young woman named Jenna stepped forward, her hands shaking slightly. "I feel like I've been living in a shadow," she confessed. "The pressure to excel in school has been overwhelming. I thought I was the only one feeling this way, but now I see I'm not alone." As Jenna spoke, Mia felt a surge of courage. "I found something," she said, pulling a worn journal from her bag. Emily's journal. She wrote about her fears, her pressure, and how she felt like she was losing herself. "I think it's important for everyone to hear her story." The crowd fell silent as Mia opened the journal, reading aloud excerpts that revealed Emily's innermost thoughts. "I feel like I'm drowning," Mia read, her voice breaking. "Everyone expects me to be perfect, but I'm just so tired. I wish I could tell someone how much I'm struggling." Gasps filled the air, and a profound sense of empathy swept over the crowd. They were hearing Emily's voice, echoing the pain they had all felt but rarely articulated. "We need to make sure that students like Emily don't suffer in silence," Tom urged, his voice resolute. "This is why we're here, to support each other, to listen, and to advocate for mental health awareness." As the vigil continued, a local mental health organization stepped in, offering resources and support for the community. They organized workshops and discussions, encouraging students and parents alike to engage in conversations about mental health. Every story shared, every tear shed, was a step toward healing. Sarah stood at the edge of the gathering, feeling the weight of the moment. The community's resilience inspired her, and she realized that Emily's disappearance was igniting a fire for change, a call to action that went beyond finding one girl. It was about fostering a culture of understanding and support. As night fell, lanterns lit up the park, casting a warm glow over the faces of those who had come together in solidarity. "Together, we can be the voices of hope," Mia declared, her voice steady now. "Let's make sure Emily's story leads to change, so that no one else feels they have to fight alone." With renewed determination, the community vowed to keep Emily's memory alive, transforming their grief into a movement that would champion mental health awareness for generations to come. As Detective Sarah Mills plunged deeper into the investigation, the threads of Emily Carter's life began to unravel, revealing a tapestry woven with secrets, struggles, and a heavy burden of expectations. Each interview she conducted seemed to expose another layer, one that painted a stark picture of a young girl who had been battling her demons in silence. "I just don't understand how this could happen," Emily's math teacher, Mr. Thompson, said, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. "She was always so bright, so eager to learn, but there was something different about her lately." Sarah leaned in, her notepad poised. "Different how? Did you notice any changes in her behavior?" Mr. Thompson sighed, his brow furrowing. "She seemed more withdrawn. I caught her staring out the window during class, lost in thought. It was like she was there, but not really with us. As she continued her interviews, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. She reviewed Emily's academic records and found a troubling pattern: declining grades, missed assignments, and notes from teachers expressing concern over her mental state. It painted the portrait of a girl who was trapped in a world that demanded perfection but offered little in return. Flashbacks of Emily's life began to flood Sarah's mind. She envisioned Emily sitting at her desk, surrounded by textbooks and notes, her hands trembling as she fought to keep the anxiety at bay. The pressure to excel was relentless, and in those moments, Emily's isolation became palpable, a stark contrast to the bright smile she wore in public. One afternoon, as Sarah visited the local library to sift through Emily's past, she overheard a conversation between two community members that made her heart sink. I just think people are too quick to label everything as a mental health issue these days, one of them scoffed. Back in my day, we faced pressures too, but we didn't whine about it. The other nodded in agreement. Exactly. It's all about personal responsibility. We can't just blame society for our problems. Sarah felt a surge of frustration. It was disheartening to witness the denial within the community, especially as she pieced together the reality of Emily's struggles. She knew that the stigma surrounding mental health was still very much alive, and it was a barrier that needed to be dismantled if any real understanding was to emerge. Returning to her office after a long day, Sarah sat in silence, reflecting on the heartbreaking truth unraveling before her. She picked up her phone and dialed Mia's number, hoping to find some clarity. "Hey, Sarah," Mia answered, her voice a mixture of fatigue and hope. "Mia, I need to talk to you about Emily," Sarah began, her voice steady yet tinged with urgency. "I've been uncovering things that suggest she was under a tremendous amount of pressure. I think we need to speak out about this." "I know. We've been trying to raise awareness," Mia replied. "But it's hard when people refuse to see how serious this is." "Exactly," Sarah said, her determination brewing. "We can't let Emily's story become just another statistic. We have to confront the uncomfortable truths and advocate for change. She deserves that." "I'm with you," Mia declared, her voice strong. "Let's make sure her story resonates and inspires others to speak up." As their conversation continued, Sarah realized that they were at a pivotal moment. The deeper she dug into Emily's life, the clearer it became that the community's collective denial needed to be challenged heed-in. The truth was replete with pain, but it also held the power to ignite change. That night, Sarah penned a letter to the local newspaper, urging the community to confront the mental health crisis facing their youth. She hoped that by shining a light on Emily's struggles, they would begin to unravel the layers of stigma that had suffocated so many before her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town of Maplewood, the community gathered at the local park for a vigil in Emily Carter's memory. The air was thick with a mix of grief and a newfound determination to address the issues that had silenced her so tragically. Detective Sarah Mills stood at the podium, her heart heavy yet resolute. The faces before her were a blend of familiar and new, all drawn together by the shared sorrow of losing a bright light too soon. She took a deep breath, the weight of her words pressing down on her chest. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the tremor of emotion beneath. Emily's story is not just about her disappearance. It's about the struggles faced by countless young people who feel they have no one to turn to. We must honor her memory by ensuring that no one else feels alone in their pain. The crowd nodded, some wiping away tears as they listened intently. Sarah could see the impact of her words. They resonated with the collective heartache that had brought them together. In Emily's honor, we are launching the Carter Initiative, a program dedicated to raising awareness about mental health issues among youth, Sarah continued, her voice gaining strength. We will provide resources, create safe spaces for dialogue, and promote empathy and understanding within our community. A wave of applause erupted, and Sarah felt a surge of hope. This was the catalyst they needed, a commitment to change, driven by the lessons learned from Emily's life. As the night progressed, friends and family members stood up to share their memories of Emily. Mia, her best friend, approached the microphone, her hands trembling slightly as she spoke. Emily was more than just a star student. She was a beautiful soul who cared deeply about others, Mia recalled, her voice breaking. She would want us to talk about our feelings, to support one another, and to break down the walls that isolate us. Let's make sure her legacy is one of love and understanding. The crowd erupted in applause once more, a chorus of agreement that echoed through the park. It was a powerful moment, one that would linger in their hearts long after the candles had burned down. Later that evening, as the crowd began to disperse, Sarah found Mia sitting on a bench, staring out at the flickering candlelight. She joined her, the silence between them filled with unspoken thoughts. "Do you think we can really change things?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I believe we can," Sarah replied, her gaze steady. "But it starts with us. We have to keep the conversation going, even when it gets uncomfortable. We owe it to Emily and to every young person who feels the weight of the world on their shoulders." Mia nodded, a flicker of determination igniting in her eyes. "You're right. We need to be the voices for those who are struggling." As they sat together, the night wrapping around them like a protective shroud, Sarah felt a sense of closure beginning to envelop her. Emily's story had ignited a fire within her, one that would propel her forward in her advocacy for mental health awareness. She would not let fear silence them. Instead, she would strive to be a beacon of hope. The following weeks saw the community rallying around the initiative, organizing workshops, support groups, and awareness campaigns. Emily's story became a catalyst for change, inspiring many to share their own struggles and seek help. Sarah watched in awe as the town transformed, embracing vulnerability and compassion in ways she had never imagined. Though the loss of Emily would always leave a void, her legacy lived on, illuminating the path for others to find their voice. The darkness that once shrouded Maplewood was slowly being replaced by a light of understanding and empathy, a testament to the power of community and the importance of mental health advocacy. Invisible pressures can sometimes be the cause of tangible losses. If you've ever felt like Emily, please share or send this video to someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue the journey of finding the truth behind the unspeakable disappearances.